I suppose the only thing at 50 you can really start to look forward to is just total irresponsibility. As you get older, you can just sit in a chair, wear anything you want. You know you can walk down. Old people dress cool. You know they wear sweatpants. The elderly have it down. Captain Jack Sparrow is like a cross between Keith Richards and Pepe Le Pew. I started out as a guitarist in the early 80s. I started out printing silk screen t-shirts. I sold ink pens. I worked construction. I worked at a gas station. I pumped gas. I was a mechanic for a little bit. I went into sewers, down into sewer lines. I had a lot of somewhat unpleasant gigs for a time there. It's good to experience Hollywood in short bursts, I guess. Little snippets. I don't think I can handle being here all the time. It's pretty nutty. The term serious actor is kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Like Republican Party or airplane food. When you're doing a movie, your body doesn't allow you to get sick until you finish. Trips to the dentist. I like to postpone that kind of thing. The thing is, even if you're playing sort of a heightened character and playing inside sort of a heightened reality, you can still apply your own truths to those characters. When kids hit 1 year old, it's like hanging out with a miniature drunk. You have to hold on to them. They bump into things. They laugh and cry. They urinate. They vomit. People will say a movie bombed at the box office, but I couldn't care less. I don't want to run around and look at a shot through a monitor. That doesn't improve what I'm trying to do. I figure, once I've done my job, it's none of my business. I moved from Kentucky to Miramar, Florida, at about 8. I think I was in 2nd grade. I still had my southern accent, and down there, you got to experience a melting pot in full fury. All the kids I hung out with were, like, Sicilian kids from Jersey and New York. When I met people they said, "You do look like a hobo, but you smell really good." You start getting hit with some very interesting situations in life. You as a parent, when they approach that teenage area, which is frightening because you still have memories of that age and the things you were doing at that age. Please don't do what I did. On a film, you start to get closer and closer with the people you're working with, and it becomes like this circus act or this traveling family. Over the years all these vampire movies have come out and nobody looks like a vampire anymore. At 13, I was wearing plain t-shirts. Then I used to steal my mom's clothing. She had all these crushed velvet shirts with French cut sleeves. And, like, seersucker bell-bottoms. I may have a feather duster down my pants. It's all kinds of these profound things crashing on you when your child arrives into the world. It's like you've met your reason to live. Anything I've done up till May 27, 1999 was kind of an illusion, existing without living. My daughter, the birth of my daughter, gave me life. I've had some rank auditions where I embarrassed myself to new heights, which is hard for me to do. I was never good at auditioning. There are a number of actors over the years come up the ranks who are horrific at auditioning. It's been insane. From Whitey Bulger to the Mad Hatter, you can imagine the schizophrenia. I still approach a scene as one would approach a solo. There's nothing set or pat. Am I a romantic? I've seen Wuthering Heights 10 times. I'm a romantic. I was ecstatic they renamed French fries as freedom fries. Grown men and women in positions of power in the US. Government showing themselves as idiots. I am an American. I love my country and have great hopes for it. It is for this reason that I speak candidly and sometimes critically about it. I have benefited greatly from the freedom that exists in my country, and for this, I am eternally grateful. I was angry and frustrated until I started my own family and my first child was born. Until then, I didn't really appreciate life the way I should have, but fortunately I woke up. Nobody's ever made a film in the history of cinema where they weren't expecting some return on their dough. There are necessary evils. Money is an important thing in terms of representing freedom in our world. And now I have a daughter to think about. It's really the first time I've thought about the future and what it could be. With Ed Wood, it was this sort of blending of Ronald Reagan, the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, and Casey Kasem. I think it's an actor's responsibility to change every time, not only for himself and the people he's working with, but for the audience. If you just go out and deliver the same dish every time, it's meatloaf again, you'd get bored. I'd get bored. Everything is just very, very blurry. I've never had proper vision. Here's the thing. If Donald Trump is elected President of the United States, in a kind of historical way, it's exciting because we will see the actual last President of the United States. It just won't work after that. It's an odd thing when there is a fan page for my daughter who is not yet 13. When my daughter was ill in Great Ormond Street, it was the darkest period of my life. I don't think it's anything you ever get used to. For many years, I could never sort of put my name in the same sort of category as the word famous or anything like that. And I just found it very uncomfortable. If you get used to it, then something must be wrong. When you disrespect Australian law, they will tell you firmly. Declare everything when you enter Australia. There's definitely healing properties to being in proximity to the ocean and that breeze. There's something about that Caribbean climate and humidity. The commercial flight thing, it just gets a little weird when you're standing in line and suddenly you're not just a guy standing in line anymore. You become sort of novelty boy. I'd rather fight a buzzsaw than dance. I was the guy who had been bouncing around the film industry for years, and I'd been lucky if 5 or 10 people would see my movies, so Captain Jack did a big flip for my career. When I auditioned for 21 Jump Street, it was a last-minute thing. I had one of the worst flus that I've ever experienced in my life, and I was forced to go to the audition, the screen test. It's funny, because what happens to me when I read a script, when something grabs hold of me, I start getting these flashes of people or places or things or images. You use your money to buy privacy because during most of your life you aren't allowed to be normal. The idea of dancing is the only thing that scares me. I guess I'm attracted to these offbeat roles because my life has been a bit abnormal. The only thing I have a problem with is being labeled. The quality of life is so different in France. There is the possibility of living a simple life. I would never contemplate raising my daughter in LA. I would never raise any child there. When you're confined to a TV series, and you have to play one character, it can make you insane. But it didn't affect me. I got out in time. With my kids, they're told 75 times a day that they're loved. One thing I know is they feel loved and secure and happy and needed and necessary and a part of something. I'm always for the Indian in the cowboy movie. Always. There's always that moment on every movie where you just go, okay, this is that moment. I'm about to potentially fall flat on my face, and I might as well just dive in and see what happens. I hate watching myself on screen. I can't stand it. I remember in that red leisure suit I sort of felt like a Pizza Hut employee, and the white one was the ultimate. With the white turtleneck collar, that was the ultimate in bad taste. There's an innocence to Ozzy Osbourne. He's mingling, but he's somewhat detached. There is nothing on earth that could ever make me want to relive certain years of my life when I was young. I think everybody's nuts. When I played Tonto in The Lone Ranger, and was playing the older Tonto, I would just leave the makeup on and go to sleep because it was a 4 or 5 hour job. It was, from the waist up, all over me. I did do a film that I refer to as The Unpronounceable, by a guy named Yvonne Attal with Charlotte Gainsbourg. I had a bit part in there. That was quite fun, doing scenes in French. I'm not Blockbuster Boy. I'm doing a film called Black Mass, where I play James Bulger. The reason to play him is obvious to me. He's a fascinating character. It's not like anything I've done before on that level. I'm very excited to slide into that skin for a little bit. Wes Craven was the guy who gave me my start, from my perspective, for almost no reason in particular. I want to be ruler of the Exumas. I like the sound of it. I want to become Kurtz and live like in Lord of the Flies.